An amateur filmmaker. A list of 200 movies he's never seen, but everyone else has. He is discovering the discovered.
Okay, gotta do 200 of these. Which one would be a good one to start off with? Maybe The Graduate? Rocky? The Human Centipede? Wait. How did that one get on there? That's not gonna be fun to watch. It might be a good idea to start this show off with something kinda simple. That's it! Reservoir Dogs. Why that one first? Well, I don't know, I've heard about it a lot recently, and it is an independent movie of his that didn't have a huge budget, showing that you don't really need a huge budget to make a good movie. I heard about it from a couple of my friends, saying it's one of his best movies, and also hearing about it in one of my college classes, script writing. They even showed us the first scene from the movie, and I've been interested ever since. It looks like it's going to be a good film, so let's check it out.
Special thanks to Netflix for providing me with Reservoir Dogs. Lord knows I'm gonna need you for a lot of these, Netflix.
So I fixed that terrible set I had before. Nothing like a last second change. We're green screening this bitch! Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. Released in 1992, is a movie about a heist gone terribly wrong. 6 men were sent out to pull a heist, each going by the name of a color. Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, Mr. Pink, Mr. Orange, Mr. Blue, and Mr. Brown. This diamond heist is being led by 2 other men known as Joe and Nice Guy Eddie. Unfortunately for them, there was a riot among the group which led to the death of several members of the team and serious injuries to the others. The rest of the movie basically focuses on the remaining members trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and who ratted them out, while jumping back to earlier bits of the movie that reveals more and more about the story. So it's one of those movies where the story already happened, but you're jumping back to earlier bits of the story and seeing how everything connects to the current situation. So did I like the movie? Yeah, I actually thought the whole thing was very entertaining start to finish. The story kept me interested till the very end of it, and while the movie didn't have a whole lot of locations at all, really most of it was done in the warehouse, I think the entire thing managed to stay entertaining, and it used that factor to its advantage by focusing on the events after the heist rather than the events during the heist. This not only gives us a different kind of story, but it makes the setup more simple. Honestly, I think it's incredible when a movie can keep you so interested when it spends most of the time in one place. Now, there were other locations in the movie, and they had some pretty neat sets, but you do spend at least 70% of the movie in the warehouse. But trust me, it works fine. I also really enjoyed the characters in the movie for the most part. I mean, the ones you really get to know are White, Pink, and especially Orange. Nice Guy Eddie and Joe play an important role, but they don't take nearly as much screen time. Mr. Blue and Mr. Brown are kind of just there. They don't really make much of an appearance in the movie. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, it would be unrealistic if every single one of them make it out alive in the scene. Mr. Blonde also plays a pretty big role in the movie, and he's pretty much a psychopath. I mean, to torture someone to death, he starts playing music, dances around with his razor, and starts to slowly cut him up. He basically American Psycho'd it. Wait, actually, I guess American Psycho Reservoir Dogged it. Then again, I feel like there's a great chance a lot of movies have done this already. It doesn't fucking matter, either way you're getting cut up. The technical aspect of the film was also very interesting. Of course, you got that one really cool setup in the opening scene with the camera just turning around each person at the table at the diner. It almost seems like they shot the whole thing in one shot the way they had it set up. Reservoir Dogs actually had a lot of interesting setups in the movie, though. I do really appreciate their use of long shots to show off the whole set, and the fact that they kept some of the shots going for a long time is impressive. That's rare in movies nowadays. Not at all around the time this came out, but they would keep the camera on the same shot for minutes sometimes. I think that's really nice when you can have 2 actors say so much in just one shot. It really just shows off their skills for one thing, but it's also just nice not to have the camera switching every 2 seconds. Now, this being a show that I want to have 200 episodes for, there's going to be a lot of different things I'm going to need to try out with it, a lot of different segments. But I do have a segment to open up the show with, and that segment is called
Discovering the Facts.
There's a theory that all of Tarantino's movies are connected. Evidence of this comes from one of the film's characters, Mr. Blonde, or going by his real name, Vic Vega, which has the same last name as a character in Pulp Fiction, Vince Vega, leading many to believe that they were brothers. Tarantino confirmed these beliefs, and even mentioned doing a prequel using the characters together. Sadly, he believed that Madsen and Travolta got too old to reprise their role, so he abandoned it. In the opening scene of the movie, there's a conversation about Madonna's Like a Virgin. Madonna responded to the film positively, but didn't care for the film's interpretation of her song. She responded giving Tarantino a copy of one of her albums, signing it, to Quentin. It's not about dick, it's about love. Madonna. The film's budget was so low that many of the actors simply used their own clothing as wardrobe.
Is the a beard thing?
During the lovely torture scene when Marvin was pleading for his life, he mentions having a child at home, which was a completely improvised line. Michael Madsen, who was a new father at the time, was so disturbed by the idea of leaving a child fatherless that he couldn't finish the scene.
With their budget, they weren't able to get police assistance for traffic control, so in the scene where Steve Buscemi forces a woman out of her car and he drives off in it, he could only do so when the traffic lights were green.
Like in most movies, different actors are often thought about before someone else takes on the part. And the same applies here. Originally, Tarantino himself wanted to play Mr. Pink. When Steve Buscemi auditioned for the role, he said he would have to give a killer audition to take the part from him. A challenge Buscemi accepted. Also, James Woods was considered to play a character in the movie, but after 5 offers, his agent wouldn't even tell Woods about the film. Later on, when the two finally met, Tarantino told Woods about the offer. Woods was so annoyed by this, he got a new agent. Tarantino never told anyone which character he was going to take, but most believe he would have been playing Mr. Orange. And finally, you know how most of the movie was filmed in the warehouse? Well, sometimes when they weren't even in the warehouse, they were still in the fucking warehouse. Mr. Orange's apartment was actually just upstairs of the warehouse, redecorated to look like an apartment so they would save money on finding a real apartment. Seems like they were able to find a lot of loopholes around spending money. There's a lot more interesting facts about it too, it's just not enough time to talk about them all. So as a film student, what did I learn from this movie? What can I take from it? Well, what I did take from it is you actually can do quite a lot with a little. The budget for this movie was very low and there just was not a lot of locations used at all. There wasn't a lot of props, and like I said before, they used their own clothing as wardrobe. But with that being said, they were still able to make what's considered a great movie to most people. This is a movie that I could have easily seen them taking only a couple of days to make, because of how simple it is and how very few locations they use in the entire film. But they took 35 days to make it, and I think that just really does show a lot for it, a lot of the care that went into the movie. Again, it probably didn't need 35 days to be made, but they took that much time to film it. Well, so there you have it, guys, episode 1. That's one movie you can cross off the list. Alright, 1 down, 199 more to go. Thank you so much, guys, for watching Discovering the Discovered episode 1. I have of course, 199 more episodes to go. And that's going to take a long-ass time, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great journey. It's going to take years to finish this, but it should be a lot of fun in the process. But yeah, 200 movies on this list, 200 of them. And I want to explain the list for just a second. I was going to do it at the beginning of the episode, but then I figured, I should just let you guys see what the show is going to be first, then explain the list, simply because I don't want anyone to get bored of that at the beginning of the episode. Let's bore people at the end of the episode when they've already seen the good stuff. Okay, so just real quick. It's a list of 200 movies, and I got these movies by just picking some really big movies that, everyone needs to see, that everyone has mentioned numerous times, like, Back to the Future, Pulp Fiction, and Ghostbusters being like 3 of the most requested movies have been given to watch. But there's a lot of movies on here that I should have seen by now. But I also took suggestions from family members, friends, and then just some movies that I've always been really interested in, but never got to. Like, I put a few movies on here that were just completely my call.
For the most part, these are all really popular movies, or they were popular at one point. But most of them are like just popular entirely. These are all very well-known movies. There's nothing on here that's really just like a short independent movie. These are all pretty big, so there's gonna be a lot of fun with this list. A lot of good stuff. There is one rule to the list though, and that is that I'm not putting any sequels on it. If I like a movie enough, I might make a sequel list and do episodes on those. I don't really want to think about adding more episodes to a 200 list, but maybe it would be kind of fun, because I do have the first Harry Potter movie on there, and if I liked the movie, then I could do like a whole Harry Potter month. That'd be a cool thing to try out. But there are sequels aren't going to be on this list, but they might make it to a separate list that might have its own series. It really just depends if there's a demand for it and if I want to do it. And there is one exception to this rule though, and that's Kill Bill Part 1 and Part 2. And that's just because I wrote those down before I made the rule up. So hopefully I like Kill Bill Part 1, because if I don't, I still have to watch Part 2. I'm going to finish this list ever. So yeah, just wanted to explain that real quickly, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this part if you stayed till the end. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.